Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show. Hello.
Oh. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
Good evening.
Good night.
Good to be here.
Good tidings.
Good Friday.
Goodness.
Ha! Look this.
I thought I would surprise myself. Oh, never mind.
Oh, well, it all backfired, didn't it? All backfired.
Yeah, it did. It did. That was the Loch Ness game, folks, in case you didn't know. It's not really about Loch Ness, and it's not a game.
But this is the Benji and Nick Show, your number one vintage podcast for all things television. That's right, TV from the past, TV you might remember, TV you might want to forget. We dig it up, have a look, and dish the dirt. And what are we talking about this week, Nick?
We're talking about The Second Coming by Russell T Davies, which, what year was that broadcast in?
I think it was 2004, but let me double check. The Second Coming.
It was very shortly before Doctor Who, because I remember Rob Shearman saying, go and watch that to see what Russell T Davies will do with Doctor Who, is what he said.
2003, so yeah, 2003. Close enough. And was
it on ITV or Channel 4?
It was ITV.
I thought it was ITV, yeah. So we'll be just discussing that. It was suggested by Benji Clifford. Quite a controversial subject, so, prepare yourself for controversy. I mean, it deals with religion. Let's be gentle with each other out there. Special guest reviewer Shelley Dean will be joining us direct from the US of A to share her thoughts with us on this interesting production. And as usual, we'll make an attempt to contact our lovely Jamie Anderson friend. I don't know what a lovely Jamie Anderson friend is, but he's certainly one, because that is the way of things. In a moment, your emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. But first, it's my turn to read this out, isn't it?
Well, why not, old boy? Why not?
Okay. The Benji and Nick Show is proud to be sponsored by The Village Shop, the online e-store run by the Unmutual website and Coit Media Limited, your one-stop shop for all things Prisoner, Dangerman and Patrick McGowan, including DVDs, Blu-rays, books, CDs, audio dramas, clothing, photos, homeware, gifts, stuff. New items are added weekly. Benji and Nick Show listeners, that's you, can enjoy a 10% discount on all purchases by using the code LOCHNESS10. That's LOCHNESS10. All capital letters, no spaces at all, not even before the 10. Use that at the checkout. A further donation will also be made to Hope House Children's Hospice at no cost to you. The address is www.theprisonershop.co.uk. Let's have a look and recommend something, Benji. While you're having a look, I'll say there's also another offer. You enter the code GOODNESS50, GOODNESS, all capital letters, 50, no spaces, and that'll get you a 50% discount on Where Have I Been All My Life, the hardback memoirs of ITC actress Annette Andre, Jeannie in Randall and Hopker, yes, with a foreword by Roger Moore. Have a look. What have we got?
Well, I've just been looking at I like to look at the used items because there's loads of little oddities in there. You can actually get new this week a Rob Piercy mounted and framed art print of Port Merion, of course, made famous in The Prisoner. You can also get lots of other fun things as well. I'm going to move straight to the clothing and accessories section.
Are you now?
Is
that
indeed
the kind of guy you are?
That's the kind of guy I am. You can get yourself a rather fun umbrella shooting stick with folding handles, because we are catapulting towards the autumn, and autumn does of course mean rain if you're in the UK, that is. I mean, if you're in Australia, then it probably doesn't. But yeah, you can get yourself a fantastic Game Bird umbrella shooting stick with folding handle. There we go.
I want one of those. You might also like to have a look at nicholasbriggs.com. See if there's anything you fancy buying there. We're not going to bother having a look, but go to nicholasbriggs.com. It's interesting, I think.
And anything you buy, remember, Nick will sign it for you.
I'll write on it. Don't write on it!
Don't, they've ruined it now. He's written all over the writing in the book.
Just wanted to mention the sad passing of Diana Rigg.
Yes.
An amazing actress. The irony, she of course is best known as playing Mrs. Peel, Emma Peel, in The Avengers, the 1960s series, which is, because it's called The Avengers, it's very difficult to... It clashes in name with the Marvel Avengers, unfortunately. So the Avengers have had an interesting difficulty in getting notoriety
Getting
since
out
the
there,
Marvel.
yeah. You're right.
But the irony is that Diana Rigg, the Avengers made her famous. I don't know how long after leaving it, she did not want to discuss it anymore. And I know that it has upset the late Brian Clemens when she, refused to come and talk about it. He asked her as a special favour. She turned him down. And, she's brilliant in everything she did. Tremendous actress, I think. But ironic that for someone who was... I think she finally sort of made her peace with it before she died. And I think she did do an interview or something. But, it's ironic since she didn't want to acknowledge it for so long, and yet all the photographs in the newspapers are pictures of her in that iconic role.
Well, I mean,
brilliant.
She at the same time, I think she had to make a decision for her career, really, to distance herself in order to go forward. Otherwise, she might get stuck being, forever being known as the Avengers lady. But she had a great career.
Yes, and particularly difficult for an actress at that time to break out of the mold, and she did successfully do it and did so much great work. In celebration of her, I did watch on BritBox. The timing was spooky. They suddenly introduced the Avengers. I had no connection, I know, to this tragic event, but they've introduced the Avengers on BritBox, and so I thought I'd just watch that. There's a brilliant changeover episode at the beginning of the first Tara King, Linda Thorson series, where Mrs. Peel is in it and then leaves. Do you know how it ends?
I can't remember for the life of me.
Oh, let me tell you, it's a really special thing, because it's just a scene at the end where Steed reads in the newspaper that her husband has been found. He was missing in the Amazon. He's been found. So he's coming to pick her up. She says, yes, he's coming in 5 minutes. And it's that beautifully restrained, no emotion. And I'm getting emotional talking about it. What is the matter with me? Her husband looks just like Steed.
Oh, that's adorable.
It's actually, you can tell it's actually Patrick Macnee playing the husband in the distance with his back to us.
That's lovely, though.
Yeah. And he's looking out of the window like, what? And she looks back at him and a kind of, you see?
Aww.
Yeah. And she whispers to him at the end, and you can't hear what she says, but you can. I'm sure people have lip read what she said, but she says, she looks at him and just goes. You think, what? What's
Nick moving his mouth there.
That silence was. And anyway, and then there's a fantastic end sequence with Tara King, which is never shown again, with her and Steed on a yellow black background. Sort of, it's really great. I recommend you watch that episode, actually. I had tears in my eyes at the end.
Oh,
what a soppy old Hector I am.
Well, these shows they do things to us, don't they? It's nostalgia, and they hold a special place in our hearts, and so it's, of course, we all get emotional about things. But
Benji, you're so nice.
A nice man. Thank you very much. Well, it's very tragic though that we lost Diana Rigg, but how brilliant for her as well. I mean, not that she needed introducing to a new audience anyway, but for to succeed so well in things late on in her career, like Game of Thrones, Doctor Who, and things like that. Game of Thrones, what a way. I mean, if you're going to go out big, and she's arguably starred now in the biggest television show of the last few years. So
incredible.
Started at the top.
I've never
and
seen
finished
it,
at
by
the
the way,
top.
But
so Game of Thrones, I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with it, because I love it in the sense that it's everything I love about it. Those sorts of things. I love all the medieval sort of vibes and all that.
Yes.
I find it's just as a lot of it, and I like to watch things. I like to watch things sort of passively. If they're too long and too detailed, I just don't have the restraint to to sit and watch, 6 box sets of hour-long things, 12 hours.
Keep it short for Benji. All program makers listening.
Keep
it short.
Yeah, but there's a lot of intrigue. But I've watched several, full seasons of it, and I have really enjoyed it. I don't know why I stopped. I think I was just distracted by.
It looks very stylish, but I can't be bothered.
I don't think you'd like it. I just don't think you're not into that sort of thing.
I'm not. No. Listen, here's some emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. I'll deal with this first one, shall I, Benji?
Yes.
Because it looks epic. If I tell you, it's from Thomas Hodden.
Dalek epic. Go for it.
He sent it on the 8th of September in the year 1247. That's a bit medieval for you, Benji. That's all right, isn't it?
Good year, yeah.
Okay, you ready for this?
I'm always ready.
I have no idea what's coming. I have not pre-read this. Chaps, I am sorry to hear that you are struggling with a copy of Benji and Nick's point-and-click adventure for playtesting. I have attached a brief playthrough for the first chapter, which will hopefully get you past the sections on which you have been stuck. If you remember, we did that thing with the Hitchhikers thing last week.
Text game.
Yes.
Yeah, great
and I
fun.
think that is the origin of this slightly chortlesome email. So firstly, start the game and watch the animated intro, or press escape to skip through. Click on either Benji or Nick to play as that character, unless you have completed the game as both with a perfect score, in which case the options will now include Jamie, Shelley, and the Patrick Trotteron.
Patrick Trotton.
Text-to-speech robot. That's a little joke referring to some. I'm just not going to... You'll just have to assume it was hilarious. If playing as Benji, the first chapter is completed by the following commands.
Ooh.
Open bedroom door. Walk to bathroom.
Yeah.
Shoo away duck.
Get out! Get out!
Use shampoo on Baker-esque curls.
Yes.
Walk to kitchen. Talk to sweep. Feed sweep.
Sausages, of course.
Accept contract. Walk to sooty.
Yeah.
Use sooty in microwave.
Oh God, no! I've committed murder.
Walk to sweep. Redeem contract. Take 3 gotten gains. Oh, ill, sorry. It's not like 3. It's this font. Take ill-gotten gains. Quick travel to, work. Talk to, shady-looking individual.
Here we go.
Flee to door. Flee to rooftop.
Ooh.
Grab fire extinguisher.
I got it.
Grab hammer.
Yeah, didn't have to ask me twice.
Run to rooftop edge. Jump to next roof.
Gosh, I'm agile.
No, really, jump to next roof.
I'm not that agile.
Kick ninja.
Ow.
Use fire extinguisher on ninja. Brilliant. Use hammer on padlock.
Ka-chunk.
Pull up bullwhip. Use bullwhip on chasm.
Ow.
Look at glass case holding impressive idol.
Eric.
Use hammer. Hey, Eric Idol. Use hammer on glass case holding impressive idol. Take idol.
There you go.
Look at giant boulder.
Oh God.
Run from giant boulder. Push shady looking individual at boulder.
Have it.
Use bullwhip on chasm. Use elevator. And you'll be ready to play chapter 2.
Bing. Shall I read these ones out for you?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So if you're playing as Nick then, it's open bedroom door. Walk to bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Pose for selfie in the bathroom. He's doing a Jamie Anderson. Open medicine cabinet.
Oh,
Take dangerous looking bottle. Walk to kitchen.
oh, yum, 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 yum.
Open microwave. Look at ominous pile of ash. Use mug with tea bag. Use mug with kettle. Drink tea. Look at pocket fluff. Use pocket fluff on Jamie. Jamie. Now make him eat it. Go on.
It says no.
No, make him eat it. Go on. Open kitchen door. Walk to pond. Look at garden gnome.
Hello.
Look at police telephone box. Walk to strangely dressed man laying before police telephone box. Use garden gnome on ranting stranger. Walk to shed. Pick up duct tape. Pick up rope. Walk to police telephone box. Look at different man wearing same clothes.
What?
Open stranger's jacket. Pick up wallet. Pick up strange key. Oh, look at this. He's doing very well.
Haven't got any keys.
Use telephone.
Right. Yes.
Quick travel to office. Bing. Use computer. Look at ninja falling past window. Use telephone.
Oh, good.
Look at boulder falling past window. Make alarm noises. Walk to closet. Take mop.
Okay.
Take bucket.
Oh.
Take strong bleach.
Oh, sorry. No.
Walk to alleyway. Don't drink it. Use strong bleach on bucket on mop. Use mop on very flat ninja. At this point, Nick will begin Chapter 2. I hope this explains everything. Yours, T.E. Hodden. What a game.
T-E-E.
What a
Well,
game.
it's funnily enough, it does explain everything.
Everything we need to know, you know. I feel that there'll be a moment in our lives where we'll have to use all of that information.
Thank you, Mr. Hodden.
Well, we got one here, subject of this one, confusion and a recommendation.
Oh.
Sent on the 8th of the 9th, 2020, in the year of our Lord 1259. Another medieval. Medievaliac. Hi, guys. I've been thinking about Nick talking about how he missed the first episode and half of Hitchhikers back when it was first broadcast on the radio, and it reminded me of a confusing experience of my own. I'm a big fan of Blake Seven and watched it on VHS tape growing up in the 90s.
Bless.
The problem was that I only had a few tapes from the first season and one from the final season.
Oh.
That meant that I had 2 episodes where 80% of the cast, including the main character, had been replaced. They had a different ship and no one even mentioned that was strange.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the mid-2000s that I discovered what happened in between.
Bless you.
Have either of you ever had an experience like this where you missed out on a crucial detail of a TV show leading to a very confusing experience? Well, Nick, anything?
Have you? I can't think. I'm sure there must be some that I've watched in a strange order. I think the black and white old dubbed Robinson Crusoe, you know.
Yeah.
I think when I first watched that, I might have missed either the beginning or the end because the school holidays didn't quite align across the country. And so the BBC started showing school holiday programmes while I was still at school, or the last episode came on when I'd gone back to school. So it took years for me to find out what happened, I think.
Yeah, I never
like
had an experience like that. I mean, a lot of things, because of my interests in old telly and rubbish like that. Old. And the time when the internet was in its infancy, so you couldn't really order things, like you couldn't get things. So I used to get a lot of my stuff from the VHS shop, which I think I mentioned last week, actually, Old and Gold.
Yeah.
And also the Man in the Market, who's quite funny. The video man.
We've got one of those. We got a DVD man in the market. Well, 2 of them, brothers they are. Yeah.
This bloke was funny because he always asked these sort of silly questions. Like he once said to me, "Oh, do you fancy watching? Do you fancy buying Star Wars: A New Hope?" And I said, "It's all right. I've already got it at home. I've got the 3 trilogy ones." I said, "Damn," he said, "I've ordered 400 copies on VHS and I can't shift them." He said, Carol's at the garage at the moment trying to, we can't. And the other thing he always says to me, because I used to go in and just say to him, "What do you recommend?" And he used to say, "Do you like manga and anime?" And I said every week, I said, "No." But
Yeah.
you just always forget, and every week he'd say, "Do you like anime?" I was like, "No, I've no interest in it whatsoever."
I remember when I worked for some magazines, the distributors were always trying to foist anime VHSs on us. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I think there was an excess of them.
Maybe. I mean, it's hugely popular, but never.
Not so much in this country.
Never. Yeah, it's an interesting one, but it never gelled with me. But yeah, so I used to just get what was available. So often I'd go in there and I'd watch something, and it would, it'd be like, series 4 of something, and just I'd not even see the first 3 because they just wouldn't be around. You just have to get your hands on.
Any examples you can remember?
I'm just trying to think. I know that there were the tripods ones, which were on thick old VHS, and they were, as and when. I think I used to just grab bits and bobs of that. I think I also, lots of Doctor Who. I just got whatever I could find. There was never a time where I'd watch just one Doctor all the way through. Unlike now, of course, where you could watch it all on BritBox.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it was just, oh look, here's that. Was it the double VHS with Black Orchid and the Visitation? That was a winner. And then the next time I'd be there, I'd be like, oh great, look, Silver Nemesis on VHS with the great 25th anniversary Australian documentary behind the scenes where, so we've mentioned before, David Banks says, yes, and when we came on to do the rehearsals, I was quite amazed when I had my costume fitting because we have now got these things we have over here called Doc Martens. Yes, and they're very comfortable indeed. And I just remember that for some, and him walking around with a coat hanger as a gun.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
great
and
fun.
making the noise as well.
Yeah, yeah. And Sylvester and Sophie hiding behind a table on the floor. Brilliant stuff. Yeah. And Gary Downey saying, "Let's make magic."
Yes, he certainly did, didn't he?
So good. But there we go. So that was my experience. Not so much missing an element, but certainly out of order.
Out of order.
Out of order, Gav. Carrying on with Chris's email here.
Oh yes.
It says also a quick recommendation.
Yes.
I've been watching a few things on Network on Air.
Oh, yeah, video on demand system.
There we go, yeah, which I think Jamie mentioned he was involved with somehow, so thanks to him, if so, he certainly is. Nice. I've particularly been loving Pathfinders in Space.
Ah.
It's a TV show from the early 1960s produced by Sidney Newman and written by Malcolm Hulke, both later of Doctor Who fame. It's about the first rocket to the moon and the discoveries found there. I'd say it's halfway between the feeling of Quatermass and early Doctor Who.
And twice as crummy. I've seen it, yeah.
I've been really enjoying the tense and thought-provoking story, and despite featuring some sometimes irritating children...
Always irritating.
It seems quite adult. Have either of you seen this before? Perhaps something to check out?
Well, maybe I should give it another go on Network on Air.
It's possibly a fun idea, isn't it? I want to say I haven't watched it, but mainly because I think you told me it was rubbish, Nick, so I just thought,
I'm afraid so, yes. Yeah. I may have shown you the DVD and said, don't ever open this.
It's like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, where we put that on. You said, look how rubbish this is. I said, I love it, but it's rubbish.
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, starring Richard Basehart. David Edison.
He did this exact thing whilst we were eating a curry. It was brilliant. Sitting on the sofa. Finishing, it says, all the best, gents, and Shelley with her brilliant new perspectives. Chris Gerard. There we go. Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris, for the rocking email.
Thank you. And now here's one from Phil Steer. I was just looking at the end to find your name. Subject: Space Booze. Ooh. Sent on the 6th of September in the year 0722. Good gracious, gentlemen. Further to Benji's hope that there is just endless beer out there in outer space, you might appreciate this from Pete Brown's book, Miracle Brew. Hold on tight. This next bit is a bit of a ride. The constellation of Sagittarius, one of the 12 signs of the zodiac, is known affectionately as the teapot. Unlike many of the shapes we can supposedly see in the stars, this one is quite easy to get. Viewed in the northern hemisphere, if you look at it the right way, here's its handle and here's its spout. And if you're ever lucky enough to see the night sky in an area free from light pollution, you can see steam coming from the spout. That steam is the centre of the Milky Way. The first time I saw it properly, on the helm of a sailing ship halfway across the Atlantic, the centre of our galaxy was a dense, creamy wash, as if someone had taken a thick paintbrush and made a sweeping stroke down the middle of the sky. The constellation of Sagittarius is close to the centre of our galaxy, right in among the action. As a result, it lends its name to a giant molecular cloud near the heart of the Milky Way. This cloud is one of the largest in the galaxy, about 150 light years across, and has a total mass equivalent to 300 times that of our Sun. As that's a tad large, astronomers divide it into regions to study it, designated North N, Middle or Main M, and South S. Sagittarius B2N is composed of various types of complex molecules. In particular, it contains vast amounts of alcohol. About 1 billion litres, give or take. This includes vinyl alcohol, ethanol, and methanol.
Wow.
So there's a cloud of booze at the centre of the galaxy,
baby.
just hanging in space, okay?
I mean, that's perfect, isn't it? Fire me off. I'll get in the
enjoying
rocket
it.
now.
Yeah, you asphyxiate before you manage to take a sip, but there you go. Mere details. Enjoying the podcast, says Phil, having arrived relatively recently via the Jerry Anderson podcast. Smiley emoji. Many thanks. Best wishes. Phil Steer.
Welcome
Born 1964, just to give you an idea of my television vintage.
Oh, very
Little
very
smiley laughy
fun.
face there. There we are. Oh, I better invite Shelley.
I just had a look at the teapot actually on the. I typed it into Google Maps. Interesting. It looks like a very 60s teapot as well.
Oh, does it?
Like
No.
if I could only. You'll know what I mean if you saw it. It's sort of like a little coffee pot.
Oh, that's
That's something
nice.
Harry Palmer would have in the morning when making
Oh,
tea.
definitely.
Good old Shelley Dean. She's our queen.
Oh, what is happening there?
Just having a dance, really. Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
How you doing?
I am fabulous today. How are you guys?
Very well.
Good.
Very well.
Yeah. All the better for seeing you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I even did the lip. For those who can't see, I did the lip, the Elvis lip.
The
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I don't know. I looked like I was just dribbling drink out of my mouth.
A stroke and half of your face is paralyzed.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, now here we are. We're going to talk about the second coming.
Oh, yay. Happy.
I think Shelley found it a bit upsetting.
Just a trait.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a very interesting bit of telly.
Well, it's your fault, Benji, so you speak first.
I blame Benji 100%. We come off of me exclaiming last week about how happy Hitchhiker's Guide made me feel, and I was just smiling until this one, where I was the whole time like on the edge of my seat with the most angst-filled insides, watching every second of it, going, what? How is this happening?
It's a dark, very Russell T Davies sort of level of show. I thought it was interesting because obviously it is sort of pre-New Doctor Who, and there's a lot of elements that are very similar. But,
I see a
agreed,
lot of him
agreed.
being the Doctor. Definitely see where a lot of that came from.
And also just the structure of the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and just there are so many. I mean, it's a bit of a spot the actor from Doctor Who as well, isn't it? You know, all these people unaware that they will soon be in the reboot of Doctor Who, but it's dark. It's a dark, powerful story with a lot of some quite unsettling moments and some quite sort of devastating dark characters as well. But I just thought because I'm currently in the process of just digitizing all my DVDs, and so I came across that, forgot about it completely,
Had you seen it before?
Yes, I'd seen it many times before. But yeah, I haven't seen it.
So you like it?
I do like it. Yeah, I think it's a good drama. I think it's there's something about it that's quite different from a lot of things, and I think it's very bold. I think you could, as we were saying, you could never do it now. I don't.
No,
think
you couldn't. Isn't it funny? The world has changed so much; it would be unacceptable to do it now.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing while I was watching it. I was like, I can't even imagine how people responded to it back then, but for now, oh my goodness.
Well, I think as well...
It's weird, isn't it, that the world's changed so much since 2003.
Yeah. I think it's down to computers, and I think that the internet has brought the internet has brought us all closer together. And thus, things like, religion and faith in that way is again, it's a lot more integrated in the world now because it's out there. I can't, there's people conversing with people from different backgrounds and different views, and so I think that's one reason why the world is different now. But you can, with this, it's a very single. Even though it has that line in it where it's like, whatever religion you are, whatever team you're batting for, it doesn't matter now. We're all in this together. Which is a bit of a throwaway line to, I think, fixing the story, because if anybody that studies any form of religion will know that they're not all the same, and that a lot of them worship different things. But focusing on this. Yeah.
But that's very much the perspective of a non-religious person, isn't it? To say, oh, come on, it's all the same thing. Because, of course, religious identity for a lot of people is about the uniqueness of their faith and the unique rightness of their faith. And the
absolute truth in what they believe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And what everybody else believes is completely wrong, but what they believe is completely right.
They're the chosen ones.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very interesting. I mean, there are some fun things in there. I mean, I like the idea that he's saying, this mythical sort of, Jesus Christ, character that we all know. Well, it's not mythical, but the idea of Jesus Christ as we know it, and then presenting it as the second coming as a bloke from up north who likes beer and pie and chips is a really interesting perspective on it all.
Yes, well, I mean, arguably, Jesus was just, well, not arguably, the whole point of Jesus is that he was just a normal bloke, wasn't he? The son of a carpenter, and, he wasn't a king or a nobleman or anything like that. So, I mean, it's finding, Russell, I think, was finding the sort of modern equivalent and saying, this is, I mean, it's interesting, the whole thing that Stephen Baxter, played by Christopher Eccleston, spends most of his life, up until the age of, I don't know what he would have been, like sort of 36 or something, and suddenly the divinity enters him, and suddenly he's aware that he's the Son of God. But up until that, so unlike Jesus, who knew he was the Son of God all his life, did he not? I don't know. Did he have a moment where he thought, oh, hold on a sec, I'm the Son of God? Maybe he did. I'm talking out of ignorance, and all well-educated Christians will be well-educated in the scriptures. He did a lot of his best screaming work.
He did a lot of his best work when he was older, didn't he? So maybe he gradually came to realise that,
I mean, people didn't live that long back in those days anyway, true. So he wasn't that old, I imagine. Shelley, on to you for some thoughts then. We're being very respectful and careful, aren't we?
Well, that's the whole thing about watching this. I'm not a religious person. I'm more spiritual, and I understand how this could be extremely offensive to people while they're watching it. And the whole concept of it, I found interesting in so much as what we just already talked about how, being that there's so many different religions, he basically was saying everyone's right in their own way. In some portion, every religion is correct. As we're all going for the same thing. It's all the end result will all be the same. But coming from Russell T Davies and his, I saw that he is an atheist.
Yes.
So coming from his perspective, which was the Judy character, she was the one who basically was, there is no God. This is all rubbish, and and what do you mean you're the Son of God? There is no God. Yeah. So her taking it upon herself in the end, doing what she did, was, I don't know.
She does end up believing, though, doesn't she? That's the
But
thing.
does she, though? Was it
Yeah.
but the demons were the ones who kind of planted that into her head.
I don't think they planted it. I think she comes to realize that because of the existence, it's like, to believe in supernatural evil, you have to believe in supernatural good as well. You've joined the supernatural.
Right.
I'm being an atheist. I'm talking about religion in a supernatural way, which of course would be offensive to many people because they just feel it's the truth. But to me, it's all supernatural stuff. It's stuff beyond our reality that we've cooked up to make ourselves feel better about stuff, or to be able to control populations more effectively with a strong ideology. That's my offensive atheist point of view, and probably is Russell's as well. So anyone who says that this isn't science fiction is wrong, because this is a huge what if, but it's only science fiction, as it were, if you're an atheist, because the what if is, what if all that stuff about God and Jesus was true? And of course, to Christians, that's not a what if, that's an absolute certainty. So it's an interesting perspective here.
Mm-hmm.
It
Very
is
different for different people.
It's a fantasy for atheists to say, now, what if it were to be true? And she comes to because of his fantastic message. No Doctor Who pun intended. He does say fantastic at one point, doesn't he? Which just made me think, oh, fantastic. Because of his message, like, we have made ourselves God, but we haven't been good enough, and we haven't taken responsibility for our actions. She comes to the conclusion that in order for us to step up to the mark and be as good as we need to be to play God over nature, then we need not to have God. God needs to go so that we're left on our own without any recourse to anything supernatural, so we take responsibility. That's his argument. I find it difficult that her character comes to that conclusion, and I don't quite follow how she does. I know in a very simple way it's pointed out to her by someone and she starts thinking, but I found the ending fairly unsatisfying, not least because, and spoiler folks, she eventually feeds him rat poison so that he dies.
Like Judas, she betrays him, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yes.
But she gives him the choice.
Her name's Judy.
It's Judith.
Yeah, Judith. Judas, you see.
Yeah.
Right, but she gives him the choice.
She does.
She doesn't trick him into eating it. She says,
that is a beautiful moment.
I've made this spaghetti, blah blah blah, and there's rat poison in it.
And he thinks she's joking.
Yeah, and then she's like, no, really. You remember when I had the rats so that she is the one, she gives him the choice. And it made me realize that, when they asked him about, okay, so what happens if the third testament isn't written by the end of the fifth day?
Oh, that's right, because he says there's going to be a third testament and there's 5 days to write it.
Right.
And all these millions of people send in stuff. Yeah.
All the emails and letters,
Yeah. So he goes into his little trancy thing and tries, because as I love the concept of how when they're like, well, how come you don't know all the answers? He's like, I'm downloading however much information into a pocket calculator. The human brain is like a pocket calculator. I'm downloading bit by bit by bit what I need to know. And so he goes into that little trance or whatever, and he sees nothing. And so his conclusion is that means the world is going to end. But I think that why he saw nothing was because he ends.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
The world doesn't necessarily end because the third testament isn't written.
No,
it's not a guarantee that there's an apocalypse.
No, and that's the conclusion she comes to.
Yeah.
She says it's not the end of the world, it's the end of you.
Yeah.
That's why you couldn't see anything. And then he realizes she's right, and he eats it, doesn't he? And dies. I don't think that's how quickly you die from eating rat poison, just to be finicky.
And I don't think it's a couple little twitches here and there and you stay in your chair.
Yeah, I think that could have been got round by just cutting away and finding out that he died later or something, or he's in hospital, but I suppose dramatic license. But that annoyed me that was unrealistic. How petty am I for getting annoyed about that?
Well, I did see an interesting thing on Wiki. I went on Wikipedia and was reading the part about the show, and apparently the first draft or an earlier draft that Russell T Davies wrote, he doesn't die. He gives up his divinity, chooses to become fully human and ends up marrying Judy. And everybody on Earth forgets all of it, but she remembers. And I guess a friend of his said, yeah, no, that's not going to work. That leaves everybody unsatisfied. You know, there needs to be more of a finite conclusion.
Well, the conclusion itself is really offensive to anyone religious, isn't it? Because it basically says the world is a much better place without God, without us giving responsibility to something else. There's a church just down the way here which says, you know, don't put your trust in man, put your trust in God. And that is the opposite of what I believe. If we can't trust ourselves, then what future do we have? If we externalize everything to something supernatural, it lets us off the hook every time. But listen, that's just my point of view, and I'm really sorry if anyone listening is offended by it. Hopefully you can fast forward through my nonsense. It's interesting.
I wrote down word for word her speech at the end when she's being interviewed. And it says, it looked like he had died and gone and left us with nothing, but he left us with everything. And yeah, sometimes it looks like nothing because we can't turn to a book no more, or a church, or some man in a dog collar. We get to look at each other, not... The devils have gone and people are still mad. They still do the most terrible things just because they're people. That's our problem now.
Yeah.
And for me, that was, you know... It does take away the I don't know, the pretending that everything will be okay when we put our faith into something that we can't see.
Yes, yeah.
That scares me because we're the ones responsible for our own actions, behaviors. You know, I mean, it relates a lot to what's going on here in the U.S. with this whole anti-masker thing and anti-science thing, and it's just all very scary.
Yeah. Reading that out there, that just reminds me, you know, we must say, you know, what a tremendous writer Russell is.
Oh,
I mean, he's so bold, isn't he? So bold, and there's a brashness to his writing, and he just thinks, why not? I'm going to go there.
Pulls no punches.
Yeah, and he risks he risks being crass, and he sometimes is, but what the heck, you know, it's bloody good. And Rob Shearman, when he was writing Dalek, and we didn't know what Doctor Who was going to be like, he said, oh, Russell T Davies did a thing called The Second Coming. Did you see it? I said, oh, I'm vaguely aware of it. I think I missed it. And he said, right, you can borrow my DVD of it. I want you to watch it. He said, because I'm telling you, this is what Doctor Who is going to be like. Because
he did it the nail on the head. He did,
and you watch it, and it's watching this now. It's like a sort of it's like a route map for how they're going to do Doctor Who, isn't it?
And it's like Murray Gold's music. It just sounds like Doctor Who. There's so many bits there. I mean, he's got a very specific style anyway. But it just sounds like Doctor Who, and you hear it, you think, yep, you know, all the operatic style sort of.
Definitely. I just want to say there's one funny thing. The only thing that undermined the music for me is that there was a noise. Every time they went to the devil, there was that thing that went...
Oh, yeah, that kind
Now, that is exactly the same noise that if you watch the first pilot episode of Star Trek, when the beaming down finishes, just as it finishes, there's an extra effect that they didn't use in the main series, which is that noise.
How bizarre.
At the end, it's this funny little noise. And every time I just saw Captain Christopher Pike, Mr. Spock with bushy eyebrows beaming down, you know, to... I wish I could be impressive and remember the name of the planet now, but the one in the cage. But anyway.
One of my favourites bits of Star Trek, that.
And I thought, and obviously Christopher Eccleston, you could see why, you know, he thought he'd make a good Doctor Who. Actually, although, you know, Chris is still using his voice and his accent, it's quite a different performance. It sometimes bleeds into something that he did in Doctor Who, but it's actually quite a different performance in many ways, isn't it? So that was very impressive, I thought.
Yeah. Well, the acting, everybody was amazing.
Yeah, Mark Benton.
Absolutely amazing.
He was really disturbed.
Mark Benton's super. And you don't... The funniest thing as well is that, you know, as you watch it, you don't quite know what you're going to expect, and you're certainly not expecting this sort of holy war on Earth between, you know, God and the devil. Of course, when his eyes light up, you know, and he's got that level of self-loathing on there, and you realise that, oh my God, he is the devil's representative on Earth.
Yeah.
And he plays it fantastically. I mean, I think I've always loved Mark Benton's work. I think he's a superb actor.
Yeah, he came in and did our first Tom Baker one, actually, and was really, really good. He took the job because he lived nearby. He said, I didn't care what the job was. I just thought, when I saw the address, I thought, I'm definitely doing it.
He's a really cool guy as well. Interesting, he's friends with one of my friends down here, and last time I saw him, I was in a record shop, and he was just hanging around he had a bag, like a Tesco bag for the records. Just went up and played something. It was really cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and I had a
he's a regular
nice bloke.
guy, isn't he?
Nice guy.
Yes. Now, I thought that episode 1 was excellent, and I remembered episode 1 very well. I didn't remember anything about episode 2, but I know I watched it. It's controversially, I don't think episode 2 is very well structured at all. I think it's much. I found myself drumming my fingers a bit, and I did not remember what happened in the end, but I just kept thinking, get on with it. There was that long montagey bit where he wanders, and I just thought, oh, you could have cut straight to him arriving at her place.
It's a bit of a case
there
of
was a lot of padding. It's like the second episode should have just been an hour.
Yeah, well, when she was getting ready, when, that whole, what you're talking about him meandering around and doing all that stuff, when she was getting ready, she was doing this aggressive, I don't know what it was, when she was drying her hair.
It was weird.
With her towel, and she was like attacking her head with the towel. I was like,
I thought she was going to do something awful to herself.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening here? And then it was just her getting ready for, murdering him.
I do everyone in England dries their hair like that, Shelley. We're all barking mad.
That was just bordering on some weird stuff happening.
Of course, she goes on to be an interesting thing, because she did another really quite dark series called Afterlife, not to be confused with the Ricky Gervais series,
which is called Afterlife. Yes, as opposed to
which
Afterlife.
is fabulous if you haven't watched it.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's classic Ricky, isn't it? Yeah. But this particular Afterlife, she plays a spiritual medium. On there, and it's done
medium rare.
But she just sees ghosts all the time. It's not a case of it's not a case of like she goes out and is like, I'm picking up a vibe here. She walks down the street and just sees all the dead everywhere. If she's in her house, like she's in her house and they're all just sitting nearby, that
she's a barrel of laughs, isn't she? Yeah. She's a real hoot to go out with. I'm seeing dead people everywhere.
You can't sit there.
Lovely. Fancy another drink? How about going away?
But she's fab. She's of course fab in Midnight as well. Doctor Who.
Yes, that episode. Yes. Yeah. So it's interesting. I think I'll stick with I was going to give it 3 exclamation marks because I'm very unsatisfied by the ending. I also think that in spite of the fact that he made the choice to eat the poisoned food, I think that she would have been done for manslaughter. I
had the same thought. I said, how did she not get arrested?
There's killing someone, then there's killing the Son of God.
It was assisted suicide, wasn't it? She gave him the food, and people get prosecuted for that. I don't think it's right personally, but they do, and I think that was weird that wasn't even referenced in any way, which is me being so nitpicky. I know, but
how she's able to walk into a grocery store and not be stoned to death by people who are upset that she basically killed God, the devil, anything having to do with any religion, like, because by killing him or by him dying, all of that got wiped away.
Although the idea is, I suppose, that because it's gone, people know it's gone and don't believe it anymore. But that's a real leap of faith there. But and also that sort of leap into the future and that reflective ending like that. With the interviews, I don't know. It's a bit like sort of like what he did with Years and Years as well. It's a sort of.
I was going to make a lot of comparisons to Years and Years for this because a lot of the emotions that were evoked for me watching this, Years and Years did the same thing to me. So it was.
But who knew? Writers have a thing to say, and they often say it in the same way. I'm sure I do that as well, and I think. 3 exclamation marks is a solid good for me, but I did feel that the second episode really lagged for me, which is I feel awful
think that's
saying
fair.
it,
I think
and I
that
would
is a
be very
fair-
embarrassed
Yeah.
if Russell heard this. So someone will now send it to him, and I'll get an email from him now. Saying,
Interesting.
Nicholas Briggs, I will never speak to you again. But I think it's really proto Doctor Who, isn't it? I mean, all those news reports and the famous people, you know, Jermaine Greer turns up, and they completely
Trisha
they
Goddard,
completely
isn't it? Yeah.
did the same thing in Doctor Who, which is sort of nice and weird at the same time to see.
It helps ground you in the world. It makes you think it's a realer thing than it is, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a really clever technique, isn't it? What are your exclamation marks?
I'm gonna go with a 3, because I enjoyed it a lot, and I also was upset a lot. So his writing did do what his writing was supposed to do. It evoked major fluctuations of emotion in me.
Yeah.
I had some issues with the camera. The camera work was kind of jarring at times, and I
I mean, it
couldn't
was meant to be,
understand-
obviously, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah,
old
and-
technique, isn't it? We're sort of tired of that now.
Yeah.
So harsh. So harsh.
So, but yeah, that in general, I definitely enjoyed it, and I do recommend, if you haven't seen it, watch it.
Definitely.
Even if you're
Really.
not know nothing about Doctor Who and all that, it's a really interesting take on this whole religion thing.
I think I'm with both of you on that one. I think, looking back on it, all this time later, I'd say 3 is probably fair. It's fantastic. It's a very high 3, I would say. I think it's great. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's got a very dissatisfying ending in some regards, and yeah, there's some bits of it which don't quite work, but I enjoy it. I think it's good. So there we go.
I mean, how do you write endings? Are
How
so
do you-
difficult.
how do you-
write an ending to that? For goodness'
Yeah.
sake, I think he did a bloody good job. But yeah.
And how do you
well,
tackle, because as we say, Russell, he doesn't hold back. He just says, I'm going to write about the second coming of the Son of God. That's not something you can just cobble
It's
together.
his USP. I mean, when he wrote, we forget how incredibly outrageous Queer as Folk was.
Yeah,
and still
absolutely.
extremely powerful, and it was groundbreaking. And he's a smart guy and full of heart. Here comes Jamie Anderson. Hello, Jamie.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm very well. I'm just eating some blueberries and they're lovely.
Oh, really? Now, that blueberries, they have that ripeness window of about 3 seconds. They're either too hard or really mushy.
So I have a separate vessel so that if I pick up one and it's a bit mushy, I just drop it in there and get rid of it. It's going very well.
Good.
Of course, they're very good for you.
Well,
Very good.
Yes.
Which is unusual for Jamie to eat something that's good for him.
Well, I should add that they are the chaser for a plate of chips.
Get in.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Sorry, I mean fries, Shelley.
I know. Yeah. I thought not crisps,
Yes,
but
yes,
fries.
Yes.
I don't know whether I haven't announced it on the podcast, but I did buy an air fryer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. You said about the air fryer.
Yeah, I've done
How-
chips
how-
3 times.
Was it worth it?
Oh yes. I mean, Steph doesn't think so, but I love it. I say, oh,
I
come
love
here.
my air fryer.
Oh, it's great. And what do you
Yeah.
cook with your air fryer?
Air.
Yes,
I
it's
was gonna say that.
delicious.
Lovely fried air. Nom, nom,
Just
nom.
eating some air.
That's how I keep my sveltness. I don't eat anything. No, I bread things, put it in there.
You breed things and stick them in the air fryer.
put
Crikey.
breading on, like take a
Bread them,
cubic
make
chicken,
breading
Breadcrumbs.
them to create chicks.
surround them with breadcrumbs, and then
Do you put egg
air
on
fry
them to
them.
put the breadcrumbs?
Yeah, you gotta coat it with so it sticks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do reheating chips. If you have leftover chips, and usually, you can't, there's no way of getting them to be the consistency that you would like your chips to be. If you put them in the microwave, forget about it. They're just a pile
Oh
of
yeah,
mush.
we put them in the oven. When,
Put them in the air fryer.
yeah. I
It
can
will
imagine.
bring their natural essence right on back.
Jamie, what do you think of The Second Coming? Have you ever seen it?
What?
Have you seen The Second Coming?
I'm just thinking about chips and blueberries.
The second coming of chips.
Of chips. I
Second portion.
I don't know what you're talking about or who you are.
Russell T Davies wrote The Second Coming. He wrote, and it was on ITV in 2003. Great similarities with this. You've never heard of it or seen it?
No, nothing. I love the way you say that, like Russell T Davies, as if he was my uncle or something.
No, but he's like massively
Uncle Russell.
important British TV writer.
Yeah, I know that.
And we mentioned it last week when you were here, and you still don't remember that we mentioned it last week.
I've forgotten.
This is a memory test.
Oh no. Man, woman, person, camera, TV.
Hey, you can be president of the United States.
Thank you very much. I expect the
you're
contract
in,
to
that's
arrive
it.
shortly.
That's all it takes. That's the qualifications at this point.
So no, I
Anything-
don't remember that. Sorry, or anything about it.
Anything you want to talk about before we go?
Got some lovely pocket fluff here.
Very
Yummy.
good, very good. Eat
That
it.
would be really good in an air fryer, by the way.
Oh, that's a great idea. I don't think that's an instruction you can type
Yes.
into the Hitchhiker's Guide game, though, sadly. I did go play it, and I remembered now playing a bit further on and how frustrating it was. See, I remember that from last week. But I don't remember the other thing. In fact, I've already forgotten what it was called. What was it called?
You don't remember
Second Coming.
Jesus.
There you go. That's it.
Got it.
And does anyone else get emails from Mandy Actors UK? Do you get emails from them?
Is that
occasionally?
Oh, yes. I get
Occasionally.
one asking me to confirm that somebody was in something.
Yeah. I'm sick of it.
Right, come on, Mandy, shove off.
God, if you're Mandy Actors UK, will you stop emailing me pointless questions?
Leave me alone.
What are we going to do next week? Are we going to continue Shelley's classic Doctor Who education?
I think we should.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think that we should watch as much of the War Games as we can get through. Shelley will watch it all.
I watch every second of it.
It's a 10-part Patrick.
Oh,
it's the. Suddenly, all her determination melts away.
all of it.
It's Patrick Troughton's finale story, the second Doctor. Right?
What's it called?
The War Games. I love the fact that you've never heard of it.
Yeah.
It's
I've heard it. I just, you know,
you got to write it down.
I got to write it down.
Is that all right, Benji?
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
If you get bored halfway through, and there's a good chance you will, skip to the last episode. It's a cracker.
So focus on the last episode. Is that what we will?
Yeah, okay. But I mean, you should watch the rest of it if you can.
No, I mean,
the last episode is what establishes the whole Time Lord thing in Doctor Who. Up until then, it was never mentioned.
Okay.
We're like 6 years into the series and no one knows he's a Time Lord until Terence Dix decides to make it up in 1969. Well, do you know, he's a green robot. No, whatever green robot. A timepiece. No, a Time Lord. There we go. Yeah, that will do it. Yeah. Good old Terence.
It's an actual replay of it actually happening there.
That wasn't me. That was a documentary
Amazing.
extract
Archive
from
audio.
a tape recorder I planted under his desk when I went back in time just now.
In your wardrobe time machine.
Anyway, look, there's my hospital appointment. I have to go now.
Go.
Okay.
So, time to get close to the microphone.
Yes.
So, don't forget to send your emails in to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. I want to say big thanks to Benji, Shelley, and Jamie, but it's goodbye from me, Nick.
And it's goodbye from me, Benji C.
And it's goodbye from me, Shelley.
Here's a blueberry.
Pressing stop now. Ka-chink.